Pokemon Scarlet and Violet has officially been announced. In fall of this year, we're going to be getting the Teal Mask, and for winter of this year, we're going to be getting the Indigo Disc. The entire trailer for both of these parts has a lot of interesting stuff going on with it. Today, I'm going to be breaking down my thoughts and speculating on what I think could happen within these two DLCs, such as events that happen within the story, and cover some of the Pokemon. So with that said, let's begin. Before we get into the video, however, I want to take a moment to thank today's sponsor, Upside. I'm a big fan of traveling when I get the chance, and with it a lot easier to do so now, I try to get out in the world when I can. Things definitely can get expensive when planning a trip though, especially nowadays. But with Upside, my new favorite app to earn cash back on all my travel expenses, I can basically just earn it for doing what I love. I basically use the app anytime, not just when I'm trying to travel, whether that be putting gas in the car or shopping for groceries. It's super simple to use, and it allows me to put money back in for future travel. So to get started with Upside today, go locate the app in Google Play or the App Store and use the promo code MYSTIC94. It'll get you started on this awesome cashback journey and get you an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank of gas. Just go in, claim an offer, then pay as you normally would while following the app's step-by-step guide, and you're golden. Upside doesn't sell your information to third parties and allows you to cash out your credit cards, PayPal, or into an e-gift card at any time. So once again, my code is MYSTIC94, and thanks again to Upside for sponsoring today's video. First off, we have the two recently revealed Paradox Pokemon, being Walking Wake and Iron Leaves. I don't really have a lot to say about Iron Leaves, as it's more of a futuristic Pokemon, but Walking Wake gives me quite a few questions about it. This is a past version of some sorts of Suicune, which really makes me wonder, was it the Pokemon that died in the burned tower and created the modern Suicune we know today? From what we know about other past Paradox Pokemon in some cases, they could be ancient versions of modern Pokemon we see today. If we take a look at a Pokemon like Sandy Shocks, its Violet Pokedex entry reads, "It slightly resembles a magneton that lived for 10,000 years and was featured in an article in a paranormal magazine." Could this be a similar situation with Suicune? Or could Walking Wake be an entirely different Pokemon? Suicune's Gold Dex entry reads, "It's the reincarnation of North Winds. 3 unnamed Pokemon died in the fire at the burned tower, and Ho-Oh revived them, thus creating the legendary Beast Trio. Suicune, Entei, and Raikou were born from previous Pokemon. So in reality, the legendary Beast Trio has only existed for 500 years. I'm not sure if Walking Wake has any correlation with this, but it's really intriguing to think about. I'm also pretty ecstatic to read its Pokedex entries when those come out. Now let's hop into the actual DLC itself, starting with the Teal Mask. The player will be collaborating with another school on a school trip to a land outside of Paldea known as Kitakami. It seems very Asian-based, and it seems like some kind of very special kind of festival. In this part 1 of the DLC, we are introduced to a set of what look like to be starter Pokemon. There are also statues depicting them in a shrine, so maybe there's some worship involved. The names are definitely very punny too. Okie dokie, hunky dory, and serendipity? They seem to me like they are based on happy ways of being, but that's just my guess for now. Ogerpon actually really stumps me. It looks like a Meowscarada creature of some sort sporting a mask. On top of its mask, there seems like there's something that looks like a Terra Crest? What's interesting about both DLCs is that both stories seem to connect with each other. In the Teal Mask, 2 twins are introduced, named Kieran and Carmine. They look like twins. They also call Kitakami home. Carmine is implied to be chilly towards people from other regions, but is protective of her little brother Kieran. Kieran, on the other hand, is very shy and seems to hide behind his big sister, but he is curious when you arrive from the Paldea region. This is according to what we know. I imagine these two being rival-esque characters for the Kitakami portion of the game, and maybe the player in them will choose one of the 3 starters. And then from there, we'll adventure alongside them to unravel the mysteries of what Kitakami has to offer. Obviously, these 3 Pokemon have some sort of significance to Kitakami, and for now, it's a mystery on what roles they play with Ogerpon and the region itself. I imagine part 1 of the DLC will go something a little like this. The player arrives in Kitakami and is pretty amazed at the scenery, the festival, etc. The player is walking around the festival checking out the stands and such. Carmine and Kieran are looking from afar, with Carmine scoffing at the tourists and whatnot. Kieran is curious but chooses not to say anything due to his shy nature. The player then finds their way into exploring around, and then both the siblings and the player run into each other, either through a battle or some other kind of circumstance. Then they work together as they play a game of chase with Ogerpon. Ogerpon looks like a very playful Pokemon, so I think there could be some kind of mystery behind it, and perhaps we'll find out more about its mask. There may also be some kind of battling between the 3 starter-like Pokemon as well, that could perhaps get Ogerpon to show up. The 3 starter-like Pokemon and Ogerpon are linked in some way or another. I feel that maybe all 3 of them have to work together to get Ogerpon to show up. Perhaps the player and the siblings have their differences at first, but maybe they have to work together. Using the starter Pokemon could be a way of settling their differences and having Ogerpon appear that way. This is all just speculation, but it's fun to speculate nonetheless. Both Carmine and Kieran attend the Blueberry Academy, which is the academy shown off in the second part, the Indigo Disc. This part of the DLC has the player as an exchange student studying at the Blueberry Academy, which is the sister academy to the one the player attended in Scarlet and Violet. The legendary Pokemon, Terapagos, introduced for Part 2, matches the description of a disc-like Pokemon in the Scarlet and Violet books. It's depicted as a creature bearing overlapping layers of hexagons. On its shell, you can see all the different types of Terra symbols and such. With this, Terapagos seems to be a hidden clue in how the terastallizing process started and works. From what we know, the Paradox Pokemon and terastallizing all connect with Area 0. It just makes me wonder though, because Area 0 is in Paldea, and Blueberry Academy seems to be in Kitakami. How far are the regions to each other? I would imagine they can't be that far. Clearly though, Terapagos is a turtle-like Pokemon, and the Academy is dead on in the middle of the ocean. So the treasure of Area 0 has to be connected to the ocean somehow, and I think the treasure has to do with terastallizing and Terapagos. Other new characters also get introduced in Part 2. It looks like some trainers that the player can battle. As far as speculation on what I think could happen for Part 2 in this story, I'm kind of at a dead end. Part 2 is a little harder for me to speculate, to be honest, but that doesn't mean there isn't any lore speculation. Perhaps Area 0 is a lot bigger than we thought, and it expands to other parts of the world outside of what we know from the base games. The Hexagon Pokemon described in the Scarlet and Violet books does heavily and obviously point to Terapagos, and it was found in the crater's depths. But at the same time, its name is clearly inspired from the Galapagos island chain. So, does Area 0 have another part that can be accessed from the ocean? Or is Terapagos gonna lead the player and go back to Paldea through the ocean going back to Area 0? I think the main thing about these DLCs is going to have to do with the energy that is given off from terastallizing. The energy is implied to come from Terapagos, and it's the main source for all the terastallizing phenomena. What does the battling have to do with the treasure though? The color scheme of the battle facility seems to match that of Terra Crystals and Terapagos. Maybe battling triggers something with terastallizing. Whether or not that battle facility is connected with terastallizing though, I have no idea. I'm just matching it based off color scheme. To wrap this up, there's still a lot we do not know. I'm actually still very confused about all of it. But what I do know is that I'm pretty freaking excited, and especially ecstatic to see Metagross. I'm also looking forward to being able to see the new characters and getting to know them. I wonder if the Scarlet and Violet cast will interact with them. I think what I'm most excited about though is being able to explore more of Area 0. I honestly hope we get more Toby Fox themes, because as it stands now, Area 0 is my favorite Pokemon track. Anywho though, what do you guys think is going to happen? I'm actually really curious to know what you guys all think about Terapagos and how it potentially links with Area 0. Also, what do you guys think of the mystery that is Ogerpon's mask? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and let's get some discussion going. We're finally here in 2023, and I'm super excited for what this year has to offer us. There's potential DLC for Scarlet and Violet on the horizon, and who knows just what else Game Freak may have up their sleeves. It's going to be really exciting times coming up for a Pokemon fan. If you're interested in more Mystic content, check out my TikTok and Mystic Umbreon Shorts YouTube channel. I've got a really fun series starting up there very soon, and of course, have a weekly edition of my Should You Use series focusing on Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. Also, if you're into fanfictions and what-ifs, check out Mystic Reads. I offer a ton of creative spoken word content on there, so come join me. Thanks again for joining me today, and I'll see you all next time.